All right, let's get right into it. We're going to tackle a really fascinating puzzle today, one that comes straight from the world of agriculture. It's all based on a 2021 study about maize farming in Ghana, and trust me, it's a story that's going to flip some of our basic ideas about progress and technology right on their head.
So here's the big question, the one that kicks this whole thing off. Why would a farmer, whose entire job is to grow things, deliberately choose a seed that produces less corn? It sounds completely backwards at first. I mean, farming is all about getting the biggest harvest possible, right? You want more, not less. Well, it turns out the real answer here is way more interesting than you'd think.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a puzzle, we need to understand just how high the stakes are. Let's head to Ghana, virtually, and see what the local maize farmers are really dealing with.
First thing to know, maize isn't just some crop in Ghana. We're talking about the absolute foundation of the country's food supply. It makes up more than half of all the cereal they grow. So yeah, how well this stuff grows has massive, and I mean massive, consequences for millions of people.
And this is where things get kinda wild. Experts talk about something called a yield gap, and in Ghana, it can be as high as 75%. Let that sink in. It means farmers are often only getting about a quarter of the corn their land could actually produce. That is a huge amount of food just left on the table, so to speak.
So, you'd think the answer is simple, right? Just bring in the modern tech. We've got these incredible, scientifically developed seeds that promise way, way higher yields. On paper, it's a slam dunk, the perfect fix to close that gap and get more food growing.
But, and this is a big but, here's where our story takes a really interesting turn. It all boils down to a single choice that every farmer has to make when planting season rolls around. So let's look at the two choices they've got.
Okay, so on one side, you've got your certified hybrid seeds. Think of these as the high-tech option. They're engineered for maximum performance. You buy them from a special dealer. Then, on the other side, you have the farmer-saved seeds. This is the old-school, traditional way. You just save the best seeds from your last harvest and plant them again. Super low cost, been done for generations.
So you'd assume everyone's jumping on the modern seed bandwagon, right? I mean, more corn. But check this out. The data says the complete opposite. A survey of 400 farmers found that almost two-thirds of them, 65%, are sticking with their traditional seeds. Now the puzzle gets even deeper. What is going on?
Okay, to crack this, we gotta follow the money. And at first glance, believe me, the numbers are just gonna make this whole situation seem even crazier.
And yep, there's no question, the modern seeds absolutely deliver. You're looking at 1.6 metric tons of corn per hectare with the certified seeds versus 1.36 with the traditional ones. That's a real measurable bump in how much they can grow.
And more corn means, well, it means more money. A lot more. We're talking almost double the revenue for farmers using the modern seeds. Look at that, over 1,100 Ghanaian cedis compared to just 635. So at this point, you're thinking, okay, case closed. More corn, more cash. Easy decision.
And yeah, if we stopped right here, you would absolutely think these farmers are making a terrible business decision. It seems so obvious. But is that the whole story? As the people who did this study found out, not even close.
Okay, and here comes the big twist. To really see what's going on, you can't just count the money coming in. You've got to look at the other side of the ledger, the money that's going out.
And boom, here it is, the missing piece of the puzzle. Look at the costs. To plant a hectare with those modern seeds, it's going to cost a farmer almost 500 cedis. But with the traditional seeds, just over 200. See, that amazing yield doesn't come for free. You're paying a premium for the seeds themselves, plus more for fertilizer and probably more for labor too.
Let's just boil that down to one number. It costs over 2.4 times more to go the modern route. Now, for a small farmer, that's not just a little extra cash. That is a huge difference in upfront investment and, frankly, in risk.
Here's an easy way to think about it. Picture two restaurants. Restaurant A is a big, fancy place. It makes a ton of money, but the rent is insane and the staff is expensive. Restaurant B is just a little food truck. It makes less money overall, but its costs are super, super low. Who do you think actually takes home more profit at the end of the month? It might just be the food truck guy.
And that right there is the key. We have to stop looking at just how much corn is grown or how much revenue comes in. We need to look at what really matters to any farmer, or any business owner for that matter: profit. What's left over after all the bills are paid?
So the perfect tool for this is something called return on investment, or ROI. It's a really simple concept, but it's incredibly powerful. All it does is answer one question. For every single dollar, or in this case CD, that I put into this, how much do I get back out? That tells you how good the investment really is.
And this chart, this is the moment the entire puzzle snaps into place. When you look at the ROI, the whole story completely flips. Those fancy modern seeds, an ROI of just 0.09, and the traditional seeds, a whopping 0.42. That's not just a little better, that is more than 4 times higher.
And the study's deep dive into the numbers backs this up completely. It turns out farmers using their own traditional seeds kept 34% more in what's called gross margin. Basically, for every dollar in sales, they were pocketing way more profit. And get this, they also earned a 25% higher return on investment on every single CD they put in. That is the real bottom line. So you see, the farmers weren't choosing less corn, they were choosing more profit. They were making the savvier business decision all along.
So what does this all mean when we zoom out? Well, this isn't just a story about corn in Ghana. This has huge implications for how we should think about farming, about policy, and about what innovation really means.
Here's the real lesson. These farmers aren't stuck in the past or afraid of change. They are smart business people making rational choices. They've shown us that just having a higher yield isn't enough. It's got to be profitable. If new technology costs so much that it eats up all the extra money you make, then it's not a solution. So maybe policy shouldn't be about just pushing new tech, but about making that new tech affordable and actually profitable for the people who use it. And that leaves us with a really important question to chew on, doesn't it? The real challenge isn't just about inventing the next big thing. It's about making sure that innovation actually works in the real world, that it's profitable and accessible for the people it's supposed to help. So, how can we make sure that progress and new technology actually pay off for everyone? That's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer,